Hi, this is Andrew Connell with Critical Path Training, and I want to talk a little bit about a way we can extend the search, SharePoint search using the .NET Assembly Connector Framework in the Extending Search and Infrastructure module. So in SharePoint 2007, the indexing was handled primarily by protocol handlers and using the Business Data Catalog enumerators. What Microsoft has made the decision now that all of the connectors are now the old protocol handler framework will still work, but the new way to do this is really using these new .NET Assembly connectors that are covered inside the BCS module. The .NET Assembly connectors, the same thing. There's a bunch of connectors that we get out of the box here for search, but we can also go through and create our own custom connectors here. Now, with the way the connector framework is going to work here, what it is that you can see here up at the top, you've got the search engine, and what we have is that BDC protocol handler. That's the .NET connector here. What he knows how to go in and go pull the data back out and hand this data back over to the BDC runtime that then is going to go through and work with like the metadata service and saving the data out into the metadata, and then also working with like SSO service and with SSO objects and everything. And then working also indexing content from external data sources, and then integrating all of that when you go through and when you do a search for data using the connector framework. The data doesn't exactly live inside of SharePoint, it lives somewhere else. And so you need a way to go through and to see the data when you click on a hit result inside search. You need a way to be able to see it. And the way you're going to do that is using the BDC profile pages. And that's where you can see how to do that inside the BCS module. But the profile pages are where users are going to be taken when they find a hit from data inside of the different connectors here. Now, what's cool about these .NET Assembly connectors here is that there's a lot of support for a lot of things that Microsoft has always done with their own search that we can now do with our own custom search. We have full control over here to support attachments, so we can go through and open up an attachment and hand that back to SharePoint for indexing. We can also go through and define the item level security, which is no trivial task here, but we can define our own security trimming for these different items. I can also go through and crawl across entity associations. If one entity or if one thing in the model, one like external content type thing, if that went through and had an association with another item, and there was like a child relationship thing, or a parent-child relationship, I can go through and expose that over to search. So he can go through and index that as well. And then also have full control over the URL that's given back to the users inside of a search. Now, in this demo here, I'm going to show you how to take an existing BDC connector and to basically make it so that it will work inside of search, so search can go through and index them. The connector using the new tools we have in SharePoint Visual Studio 2010. So what I did is I went through and created a new SharePoint project, and then I just said right-clicked on my project and then selected Add, and inside this I'm going to get an option for a business data connectivity model. So what I'm then going to do is, after I did that, I went through and I have a little model that I've created here called Product, and Product has a couple identifiers and methods on them. Now you'll see here that using the new tools, when I create the method, I can define what the different descriptors are and parameters and instances that are coming back from this guy. I also can go in and have this nice BDC editor here, which will let me see the similar stuff here and get into the properties of these different items to set various things here. So I can go in, I have my product entity right here, and I'm just passing up a read method, read list, and I have different properties and return parameters on each one. All right. If I go and take a look at this, I have my entity that's already created here called Entity1, and I've defined 3 different properties on this guy: ID, name, and manufacturer. My product service is where this code is going to reside. So what I have here's the read item that I defined in the model, as well as the read list. The read list is going to pass back an enumerable list of entities, whereas the read item is going to take one parameter of an ID and kick back a single entity. Now, in this case, I'm just kind of masking things up a little bit. So I'm going to use an in-memory XML object here that's simply going to have a list of 4 different products from 3 different companies. So that's going to be kind of mocking up my data a bit. What happens is that if I scroll down and I take a look at the read list here, What he's going to do is use link to XML to pull in all the data and then go through and create a new object here that's pulling out the ID name and the manufacturer from in the XML. And then I'm going to loop through all of the items that came back from that link query and add them to this products list right here. For the ID, he's going to take for the read item, he's going to take a specific ID value in, and he's simply going to find where that item is. Once he finds that item, he then creates a new entity and then hands that back to SharePoint as well. So we'll see that when I go through and deploy this guy, if I look at inside of central administration here, you can see that I now have this product model that's available to me that I deployed. I can use this guy the same way that I used the external content type that I created, because this too is just an external content type. I could use this as the same way as an external content type as I did when I was creating these things using SharePoint Designer. So in this case, we'll call this one ECT Products, and then we'll click on this external content type browser, which will show a list of all the content types in the BCS service application that the web application where the site resides has been linked to via a proxy. So there's our BCS Model 1. I'll then come in and click Create. And there we go. There's all the different items that I just had in XML that I created through code. Now the nice thing about this, now I didn't have all the methods created here, so I can't go through and do edit, and I can't do updates and stuff, but I can go through and create additional methods that would do those things, that would let me do those things. As you see here, I can go through, and while it is a very simple example of using an in-memory database or in-memory XML structure, you can see that you could talk to basically anything that you want to and just pull that stuff right back out. There's a lot of advantages to doing it like this too, because there's some of the things that were available to us with a .NET connector. Like I can go through and also define item level security with this as well, with each one of the different items. And so each one of these entities that gets kicked back, I can do all the security trimming and stuff that I need to do and passing them back. It gives me a lot of control here. So that's how you go through and create a .NET assembly connector and leverage him inside of SharePoint. Okay, cut that.